Did you guys see that video New York put out a little while ago where they were like, what to do in the event of a nuclear attack? And everybody was like, yo, New York, why are you telling us how to survive a nuclear attack? Are we at risk for a nuclear attack? From the Daily Mail. Exclusive. Is the World Health Organization preparing for nuclear war? Health body publishes list of medicines for nations to stockpile in case of radiation or nuclear emergency, as EU warns Russia is at war with the West. Well, as many of you may have seen just a couple days ago, German foreign minister actually came out and said, we are at war with Russia. Now, some took to social media and said that it was a declaration of war, not a formal legal document signed by anybody. Nobody's making that argument. But it is a government official declaring that they're at war. Okay, so, yeah. Are the nukes coming? The World Health Organization has updated its list of medicines to stockpile for radiological or nuclear emergencies just hours after the EU warned that Russia is at war with the West. The global health body issued guidance on how to survive a nuclear catastrophe in a new report today, warning against intentional uses of radioactive materials with malicious intent. The report was published as the specter of nuclear war looms over the world after the West supplied state-of-the-art tanks to Ukraine to the fury of Vladimir Putin. The Kremlin accused NATO of blatant provocation and threatened a global catastrophe in response to the deal. Here's a nice little photo. Russia test launches the feared Sarmat Satan II missile in April last year as the nuclear threat remains high. Okay. Russia is saying that deploying these German Leopard tanks that have the ability to use uranium core artillery shells, if they do that, that would be nuclear war. What they're basically saying is, hello, friends. If you use this artillery, we will fire the missiles. And then you're going to get, I don't think Russia will launch an ICBM like a Satan II right away. I think what we'll see is strategic or nuclear artillery, meaning lower yield stuff. It's going to be for a purpose. You know, most people seem to think that nuclear war means Russia fires a 50 megaton bomb on New York. Now, why would they do that? What strategic goal is accomplished by just blowing up New York? Perhaps the argument is made because the United States just basically flattened Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But that was a display of power and to disrupt the economy, among other things. Some argue the U.S. just really wanted to test this. They wanted to try out this bomb in a real world scenario, and they wanted everyone to know that we could do it. But why would Russia fire an ICBM? And they probably wouldn't. Now, I should say, if they do fire an intercontinental ballistic missile, it would be at a Ukrainian target. I believe if it's going to hit a city, the most likely target is going to be Kiev. They are going to want to shock and awe, not too dissimilar from what the U.S. did with Hiroshima and Nagasaki in World War II. What makes the most sense right now is that Vladimir Putin would fire off nuclear artillery, very powerful explosives that will win them strategic points or decimate certain economic lines or factories or power plants, etc. They say in today, Stefano Sannino, Secretary General of the European Union's European External Action Service, said Putin had moved from a concept of special operation to a concept now of a war against NATO and the West. The EU is not looking to escalate hostilities, but is just giving the possibility of saving lives and allowing the Ukrainians to defend themselves from these barbaric attacks. Dr. Maria Nera, WHO Acting Assistant Director General, warned that many governments today are not prepared for a nuclear or radiation disaster. She said, in radiation emergencies, people may be exposed to radiation at doses ranging from negligible to life-threatening. Governments need to make treatments available for those in need fast. Now, I just got to warn everybody. Potassium iodide will do nothing. Okay, here's what it is. It's the thing you hear about whenever there's a fear of nuclear war, potassium iodide. Little pill tablets that they say you take and it protects you from radiation. No, what it does is it protects your body from absorbing radioactive iodine. You eat the supplement, your thyroid fills up, and then if you ingest radioactive iodine, your body says, don't need it, we've got too much already. But if you don't take it and your body's like, we could use some iodine, here's some, it takes it in, and then you get radioactive particles stuck up in your thyroid, and then all of a sudden you're like, I'm dying of cancer. A lot of people seem to think that you can take these pills and then like walk around. Sorry, dude. I went to Fukushima with Luke Rutkowski, and we had to wear suits. And it's a funny thing because I really didn't understand much about radioactivity. There's alpha and beta particles and gamma wave radiation. And this is the general lecture that we got. So we go to the red zone. Radiation everywhere. It was crazy. We had the Geiger counter we put on the ground. It was like 40 or 50 times background radiation on the ground because of all the radioactive particles. We put on these suits, and then they're like thin cloth suits. And I'm like, what's the point of this? Like, what is this thing going to do? How is it going to stop radiation? And they said, all the little particles that get all over you, you take the suit off, bundle it up, and throw it in the garbage. That's what it does. And I went, huh. I didn't know that. Here's a crazy story. It's a sad story. We went with a woman. She was a fixer, showing us around. And she had done many excursions or incursions into the red zone in Fukushima. A few years ago, she died of cancer. So it's like at a certain point, you know, we asked her and the guy she worked with, like, aren't you worried about coming in and out? Like, we went one time. And it is worrying. You know, Luke and I went afterwards. We got our thyroids checked out. They said everything was fine. So, you know, we go down there and it's brutal. They said we're older, so it's not as big of a concern to us. And she didn't make it. It's a scary stuff, man. It's a scary stuff to consider. Quote, it is essential that governments are prepared to protect the health of populations and respond immediately to emergencies. This includes having ready supplies of life-saving medicines that will reduce risks and treat injuries from radiation. And we'll see what happens. I hope it doesn't come to this. But when they come out and they start warning us how to survive nuclear attacks, you know what they're saying? They're not telling you that the attack will happen. They're saying, we actually think it might. So my question for you is this, and comment below. What do you do? What will you do? What are you going to do? You're going to sit there in your city and just say, well, you know, look, the New York city government put out this PSA saying just to like put a towel under the door. Or do you get away from these cities? They got this thing called Nuke Map. Shows you the range of various nuclear bombs. And looking at Washington, D.C., because we're not that far away, for the most part, we're totally fine where we're at, where our business operates from. So even some of the largest bombs will only just really make life hard, but wouldn't kill us. I think actually if it was a larger bomb, like the Satan II missile, if it actually hit DC, we wouldn't be in the blast zone or the radiation zone or the thermal zone or anything like that. We would just be in the all of the roads are destroyed and food ain't coming no more zone. That's the scary thing. Because it would wipe out a massive area. A lot of cities gone. A lot of dead people. I mean, if a bomb actually, we're talking hundreds of thousands dead, maybe millions. But fortunately, we're outside that zone, so we just have to figure out where our food comes from. We can only eat so many chickens. And when Chef Andrew Gruel came over, it was really fun. We were cooking up, he was making like eggs and veggies and stuff. And he asked if we had chives, and I was like, yes. And I ran out into the backyard, found a patch of chives, and just ripped it out of the ground. And he rinsed them and chopped them, and we ate them. That's cool. I mean, not like it's going to save you in the event of the apocalypse. We're going to be eating leaves or something. I was reading about how you can eat leaves off the tree. And what they say you do is, one, you can look at what the animals eat, but it's no guarantee you can actually eat it. They said you take the leaf, you rip it, and you rub the insides of the leaf on your skin, and then you got to wait. And if nothing happens, then you take it and rub a little bit on your lips. Then you wait. If nothing happens, congratulations, you can eat the leaf. But don't take my word for it. I was just reading some weird survival guide. I'm not sure you can subsist off of eating leaves off of trees. Although the deer can probably do it. I don't know about a human. And you can't off rabbit. Now, the trick is, I was talking to, I think it was Corey Mills, actually. I have a story about Corey Mills next because he's sending grenades at people. But I think he was saying, if you want to survive off rabbit, just make sure you crack the bones, cook them up, and eat the bone marrow because the bone marrow has the fat you need. There's something called rabbit starvation where people will breed rabbits because they're like, we'll just eat rabbits. They grow so quickly and there's so many of them, but they don't produce enough fat. So you start dying. Hey, there's protein. Food's food. Eat it if you got it. But you need more than that. So Corey I think it was Corey, I could be wrong, but he was saying you cook the bones, you break it up, and you eat the marrow out of it, and you'll get some of the fat you need. I don't know if you can still survive off of it. But hey, I'm not here to give you survival guide stuff. I'm just wondering, you going to sit around and wait? That's my question. They're basically screaming nuclear war. Are you going to sit around and wait? It's up to you, man. I don't know. Because I don't want to be the kind of guy that believes there's going to be a nuclear strike in the United States. I'm also not someone who wants to just kind of, wait around and find out. And then when it happens, go, oh, whoops, maybe I should have actually done something. So I got chickens. I got food. What about you? I guess we'll see. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up in a few minutes. Stick around and we'll see you all then.